Okay, I have not given up on this tender motor yet. And I think after a few days and a little bit of discussion, I think I found the answer. We're going to try it next on Psycho for Tyco.
From Tyco, of course.
Alright, so somebody mentioned to me in one of my model railroading DCC groups that it's possible that the decoder and the circuit board that's here is not 100% compatible on its own with my DCC system. It's kind of hard to just explain. It got really technical. But basically, Europeans use either DC or AC, whereas DCC is basically, I forget if it's DC or AC, but anyways, either one's not compatible. So I probably have the wrong current running through this, and it had to be converted through the locomotive, and there's a circuit board in the locomotive, yada yada yada. Anyways, so what I am attempting to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to direct wire this just like I would any other normal DCC project that I've got that used to be DC. And we're going to try it that way. So the first thing is, because this plate, this circuit board actually works as a cover for this, and for me to be on the safe side that I don't do anything stupid to short it out. I mean, I could just wire this up through and wire it up to the motor, but because of the spring connections, that would be a pain in the tuchus. So I'm going to just make a new cover, and I'm going to wire the brushes directly, and we're going to see if that alone with one of my random other decoders is going to work. Now, I have a TCS WOW decoder coming in. I've never played with one of those before. I've always kind of used Digitrax and this this other generic decoder. So I'm waiting on that. But I do have some generic decoders around, so I can give this a test, see if it works. We're going to go ahead, we're going to break out the soldering iron. I'm going to kick on the jazz so I'm not like frustrated. I was frustrated yesterday because I was putting together a Walters ST70 for my Tonopond Tidewater. I got a little too crazy. I cut some extra wires off and just trying to get the shell to fit in there, and this and my TNT number 8, I think it's going to wind up as being number 8. As I said in earlier videos, Tonopond Tidewater number 7 and 8, the steam locomotives were basically identical from the Baldwin Locomotive Works. That's going to be my last plug-in style decoder, period. End of discussion. While I'm on that, while I'm kind of talking about DCC, so I guess there's a rumor that open frame motors are not DCC friendly. Apparently they are. They just need a lot more voltage, and you need this and that and the other. And you know, this is the thing. When I ask a question on the internet, I don't care who I'm asking, what I'm asking about, I will get every answer than the answer I'm looking for. And that's the thing that drives me nuts. First thing I said when I was talking about this offline was, would it be just better if I tried to directly wire the motor? And in the discussion group, I got word salad about European motors and DCC and all this other sort of stuff. And then I got some other guy saying, well, you just need to buy a different type of controller so that the decoder will work. And I'm like, okay, I explained my situation. I had to make certain responses like, well, no, that's not going to work because this is going to be on a club layout, and the club layout runs this. And, you know, basically I got a LOL, you're screwed. And, yeah, it took almost from the time I posted the video, which was at this filming maybe a couple of days ago, till this morning, when somebody turned around and said, well, you know, the current voltage, the current setup, you know, he was basically saying DC versus AC. He says, yeah, some European locomotives just don't work on American DCC. Period. The end. So, you know, he made a very simplified answer to a very complicated question. And I'm still waiting on an answer for my roundhouse kit, which I haven't even brought up on this video yet. I want to convert it to a can motor. Plain and simple. I just want a nice can motor. I don't care if it's a flat can or a round can, but what would work best? And again, I'm getting the runaround. It's like, and this is a great explanation. I have a 1991 Ford pickup truck that's running off a carburetor. I want to know the carburetor adjustment for best fuel flow. And I will get somebody on the net that'll say, well, first of all, you need to scrap that Ford. You need to buy a new Tesla Cybertruck. Okay, I don't want a Tesla Cybertruck. I want to fix my Ford. Then you'll get somebody that says, oh yeah, well, here's what you do. You go over to Napa Auto Parts. You buy this 2-barrel Carter carburetor system that's already pre-tuned and set up. I don't want to do that either. And that's the thing. Everybody wants to give an opinion on the internet, but nobody has an answer. Well, anyways, enough with that rambling and that rant. So, I got some of my odds and ends here. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to scope this out, we're going to cut it. We're going to make our drills. We're going to use our Dremel here to cut our shapes. And I think we should be in business. So we'll be right back on that. Okay, just showing you real quick here. When you try and make a hole, it's easier to take a little bit of a drill and then just drill out where you want the hole, and then you can cut through there. And I'm going to need that for the flywheel on this. And then next thing we'll do is we'll be drilling our pilot holes and getting everything set up here. Alright, now we're just going to test fit things. And just see if our new plate will work. Okay, couple of minor adjustments, but we're looking good here. Now, just so you know, I'm not going for aesthetics on this. I'm going for practicality. Just basically need this to keep the motor in place, and that's all. So I'm not looking for anything fancy. I'm just looking for a motor hold. And I think that will work in keeping the motor in place. Alright, now comes the fun part. I drilled 2 extra holes, mainly so I can get the wire put in. So I've got to pull out my DCC connection instructions and go from there. Okay, yep, so far so good. So far everything looks right. Alright, now for this test I'm going to be using my old standby, which is the XL Systems decoders. These are real nice, budget friendly sound decoder. They're only like 40 bucks. They do the job, but I'm going to tell you right now, you need the right speakers for it. But as it shows here in the instructions, it's real simple and easy to understand. And I'm just waiting for the iron to warm up. I'm going to start off with gray on one side and then orange on the other, and I'm going to be threading everything through our new plate here. So let's see if my iron's hot. Yep, my iron's hot. Okay, let's get on the old magnifiers, and no, I don't need that. And let's get this started. Okay. All right. That's one pin. Now, according to the instructions for the pickup, we need red and black next. I'm going to try and keep red and black in the same format here. So red's going to go through the oranges on one side. Black is going to go the other side, which, okay, I'm not too worried about. And if you haven't seen this in previous videos, this is the easiest way of stripping off insulation on a wire. Just get yourself a cheapo Bic lighter and burn it off. Simple as that. And everything else goes to the lights, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We're just going to see if our little mad scientist experiment here works correctly. So now I need to get my clips, and I need to clip that, and my clips are somewhere else, so we'll be right back on that. All right. Well, we've got everything here basically set up. Now, if this all works, then we can move forward on our build. I can actually put a front headlight, rear headlight. I do have a rear headlight. It's another Mantool product, so I think we're getting close to the spirit of Tyco on this. So now we just got to put this all back together. I got to put the screws in. I got to get the motor set up, and then I've got to find my decoder. And like I said, I'm using an XL decoder just for this test. I figure I've got one, I'm going to use it, but I did definitely want to give this thing a distinctive sound. And even though the XL decoders, really, the XL decoders are cool because you can do a variety of different sounds, so they're very universal. The problem is I've got one installed in my Tyco Clementine locomotive, and even with the scale sound system speaker in it, it's still very quiet. And I'll be brutally honest, there are some members in our club that are hard of hearing, and I'm trying to be nice on that, but you know, they're hard of hearing, so they've got their sound turned up to like super max volume. Like, I can hear their trains outside the club. And you know, I get that, but I want to hear my trains too. And unfortunately, the XLs don't put out a lot of sound volume, and so it kind of saddens me. But I believe this is an XL steam one. This might be an XL diesel, I don't know, but for the purpose of what we're doing, I really don't care if this thing sounds like, instead of an Alco 280, an Alco RS3. We're just trying to make sure that this thing works. That's why I've got a chintzy speaker and everything here. You know, I'm not gonna hook up everything only to discover nothing works. So we'll get the track set up, we'll get this reassembled, and we will be right back. I was recording the whole time. Go figure. All right, well, we've got everything set up here. Like I said, I don't know which decoder this is. I don't know if this is universal diesel, the universal steam. We're gonna find out right now if that works. But before we do that, I'm going to turn off the heat because I want to hear the sound. All right. Here we go. Fingers crossed. Okay. Locomotive. 3. Wait. So we do have the steam decoder in. All right. Forward. Oh, that makes me happy. Yes. It works. My mad experiment worked. We now have a motor. So we can continue on with the process, which means I'm going to be adding additional pickups to the drive. We're going to go ahead, we're going to put this decoder in. Just want to make sure something here while I put this on the track. Yep, we ain't got no shorts. Great. I might even use this one here for this locomotive and use the TCS WOW for P&T number 8. I think I might do that because I really want to get this project done. But we now have success. So where there was failure, there is now triumph, which means now all I got to do is insulate the wires and add some plugs here. I'm just going to add a plug here. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to go with our drawbar. And I think I've got an idea on how I want to do the drawbar on this. So yeah, we're good. We're good so far. And this makes me a very happy camper. All right. So until our next episode, I am Tyco for Tyco. Hey friends, thanks for watching the video. I know you're at the end, but if you like this video, just remember every 2 weeks I'm going to be bringing out a new video on budget model railroading, the history of Tyco trains, the history of other model railroad companies, and some how-to things that maybe you've never learned before or you've known and you want to share with your friends but you never knew how. Well, here's the way. All you got to do on this video is like, share, subscribe, and if you want notifications, hit the little bell there, which I still don't know how to do, but we'll figure it out eventually. But until then, hey, we'll see you in the next video, and I am Tyco for Tyco.
Junkie true steel track, short in every place. Night glow stickers, lighting up my room. I'm psycho for Tyco, and it won't end soon.
Hee 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 hee.